Left is what is now a bedroom. We don't know what this room was for. We don't even know what shape this room was when it was built. It has some mysteries to it. The baseboards don't match in some places. The floor is the original. We stripped it when we moved in. It had some lovely bright blue shag carpeting on it. But we've changed that now. If you go down the hall, you'll find, well, you've already seen the letter. This is the plat from 1874, and you can see where our house was at that time. This is the Dupage River. Here's Park Boulevard. So the property was 392 acres and a half. It ran from the river west across Park Boulevard, past where Parkview School would be now, and on to the other side there. This is the 1942 house. When it was derelict, the Babcocks bought it in 42 and restored it, and that was probably taken at its lowest peak. It had been abandoned for a while. It had been used as a granary. It had had tenant farmers living in it, and we have a better picture of it in a book. This is the bathroom. Of course, when the house was built, they didn't have bathrooms. They had an outhouse, which you could see in that picture. But this was one of our more recent projects, and one of the interesting ones, because the ceiling had been painted with 3 or 4 coats of paint, one of which, when it got wet, would peel, and so no matter what we did, it seemed that we always had peeling paint on the ceilings. Finally, we scraped it all off, scrubbed it down to the plaster, and started over.
What a job.
Yeah, it was
excellent.
That was a year or two project right there. This is the room. We think it was the original parlor or main room of the house. We're still in the old section of the house now, the 1847 part. This is the chimney where there would have been a stove for heat, and right behind that wedding picture, more or less, is a circle where the stovepipe would have been. One reason we have so much wallpaper is because there's so many things behind it that we're covering up. This room has the most intricate woodwork in the house, and which is another clue that perhaps this was the main living area or entertaining area for the Bakers. There are 2 rooms off of it. They were walk-in closets when we moved in. We use them as offices now. They're either a large walk-in closet or a very small office, depending on what you want. And we even have clothes hanging in it still, so it's still a walk-in closet. This is the doorway into the newer part of the house, the 1853 part of the house. And here we have lower ceilings. The house, if you look at it from outside, you'll see that this end of the house is lower, but the windows still line up across the front, so the windows are very close to the floor in here. And the woodwork is much plainer. It was probably children or perhaps hired help who used these rooms as bedrooms. This room, when we moved in, was a baby room. We've used it for, right now we're using it just as a dressing room. This closet was added by the Hoys in the middle 60s. Michael Hoy, who visited us and told us about his memories of the house, remembers his father building that closet.
Really?
Yeah.
How old is he now?
He was just back for his 40th high school class reunion last year. So he came out and walked around the house and gave us a lot of really good clues about when things were built, what they added, what they found when they lived here, including the tree, the spruce tree out in front that now towers over the house, his father went out and found us a twig somewhere and brought it home, and they had this little twig in their tree, in their front yard that's now a towering tree. So,
Wonderful.
and finally, we're using this as the master bedroom. It's kind of like sleeping in an arboretum because it's green all around. And these closets and shelves were put in probably by the Babcocks when they restored the house in 1942. And again, the woodwork is kind of plain. The ceiling is low. And I think that's about all that I have to say, unless you have questions.
Thank you so much. And how long did it take you to become on the historical, as this is a historical
Okay. When we moved in 1984, the realtor had already started the research. Well, we worked for a while with the Glen Ellen Historical Society, but they are limited now to only incorporated areas, and we're an unincorporated area, so we were on our own. And it wasn't until I retired in 2003 that we really started serious work on it.
Okay.
And after that, it took, until 2009 was when we did the presentation in Springfield.
Wonderful.
To the Illinois Preservation
Wonderful.
Society.
So about 6-7 years.
Yeah, and it wasn't like we worked all day, every day on it for those years,
Right.
but we worked steadily. We had some luck. People would remember things. The Hoys had stayed in contact with Bob Chambers, and so we were able to contact them and get some clues from them.
Wonderful. And tell us what today's tour is about, Marion.
Well, we said if we ever got on the registry, we were going to have a party, and we were going to invite the neighbors, and we then thought maybe we should expand that a little bit and invite all people who would be interested in a historic house of this sort. We expanded it again to do it as a benefit for the Democrat candidates in Milton Township, of whom there are 13. 6 of them that we will vote for who live in this precinct, and the others in the other areas of Milton Township. And it's kind of a hometown thing. I mean, the Milton Township is our township, and we wanted to pay back and at the same time make the house available to the people who live here.